Alright, so we are going to start with a dummy test as always. So even right now with Eternity on, we are hitting 5 trillion, which is nice. Right. We are sitting at around 2 million armor-ish. Okay, so not too bad, not too bad. Okay, what is this character? First of all, if you don't have a lot of money, then you probably want to click away from this video. Okay, I'm going to say right now, this build is very expensive. It's not going to be as expensive as certain builds like aura stackers, like pure aura stackers or spellburst characters, to be honest. I would say for the power that it has and the survival that it has, it's honestly fairly cheap, okay, in the grand scheme of things. Um, Ultimately, the cost that I have right now, excluding Eternity, is about 70 to 80,000 FE. Okay, so it's definitely a large sum of FE invested, of course. I mean, we are considerably into the league already. Okay, but yeah, so this is just for those who have currency lying around and maybe want to try something that has good clear, good survival. Yep. Okay, like I mentioned, or like the title says, this is a armor stacking Rehan 2. You can take this framework and put it on other characters like Erica, because fundamentally, any character that does attack damage, right, or is based around attacking, right, and not spells, will probably be able to copy this, right. Technically, I could go like BBC armor stacker potentially, right. Everything is possible because you just take the framework and then you can just use different weapons, for example. Okay, let's go through the gear. So as always, this is an armor stacker, but regardless of whatever stacking you do, you probably want to mix and match where you stack your damage, right? Or where damage comes from. So the nice part about armor stacking is that you are basically stacking defenses together with your offense, right? For a lot of characters, you kind of have to get damage and also get defenses, but this one you scale both by scaling the same stat. Okay, let's talk about the uniques first. So Forlorn Crystal gives you additional damage per 10,000 armor. So right now with my current armor value of about 2 million, right, this is giving me about 800%, right, additional damage, which is pretty insane, right? Actually, if I'm not wrong, I think it does say over here. Okay, maybe not this. That's not the one. That's not the value. Sorry. Okay, but yeah, manually calculating is about 800% additional damage from the amulet, which is very insane if you think about it. Okay, so Forlorn Crystal is really good. Gives you additional damage per armor. So stack as much armor as you can. You get a lot of additional damage. Of course, if you want, you can get a corrupted version, which does it even. How much does this cost, right? I mean, if you have like 18,000 lying around, then yep, you can probably get that. It'll give you a bit more damage. Okay, after that we have Clench Spring. So there are rolls on this. I corrupted this myself. So in general, you could take the average, right? So if it adds 2 to 4 physical damage to attacks per whatever armor, right, you're essentially getting 3 physical damage per 863 armor. So when you're looking for the rolls for this glove, for this pair of gloves, you probably just want to see the average to see how much damage you're getting. So yep, you're getting a lot of flat physical damage from this, which is where your flat damage is going to be coming from. Okay, so we kind of have flat damage here, and we have percent additional damage here just by scaling armor. So that's really nice. Okay, every other piece of gear is going to either be armor or just have generic damaging mods. Okay, so belt wise, Eternity will be swapped for probably like a Dawnbreak or something, right? At this point of time, these are really cheap. Get a corrupted version for like fervor rating, stats, armor, or like anything works. Okay, I'm gonna put a list probably somewhere on the screen soon, okay, on where you really want to scale your damage. So something that's going to be quite massive for this build is going to be Sacrifice. I think this is just really nice. So it changes the base effect of Tenacity Blessings to plus 8% additional damage. I honestly feel like you do not need any more survival, so yep. Right now, we are sitting at about 12 tenacity blessings. So 12 times 8 is about 96. Yep. So it is 96. 96% additional damage from this singular mod. So in general, most major talents like these are supposed to give about 30 to 40% um, damage. So this is giving twice the amount just from this single mod. So sacrifice is really nice and gives you the avenue of scaling tenacity blessings for damage as well. We'll talk about tenacity blessings as well later on because on our skill tree we have some other stuff for that as well. Okay, so number one, we are scaling armor. So every piece of gear that we can, okay, is going to have armor. Okay, we're gonna have percent armor, additional armor. We're gonna have armor, additional defense, which includes armor gained from shield. Yep, armor everywhere. Okay, that's where, and these rolls matter. Okay, so if you have a bad roll, okay, it's going to affect your armor, your armor value by a significant amount. So make sure these are well rolled. Okay, so we talked about armor, we talked about tenacity blessings. We are also going to be stacking auras. Okay, so we have lone walkers. So yep, cost wise, like I mentioned, is going to be pretty expensive. So just lone walkers alone is already 14,000 FE. Okay, let's see how I want to plan this. We'll go over the gear before we go over the skill tree, I guess. Okay, so helmet, we just have some aura effect. Your base FX can be pretty much anything you want. Aura effect, sealed mana comp, doesn't matter. Too much, okay, small bonuses. We have dex, sealed mana compensation, armor, support skill level, skill area, and crit strike rating. So if you really wanted to, you could swap this to attack speed, cast speed, but I think skill area is nice because you don't really have a lot of sources of skill area, and I like having a big berserking blade. Okay, it's just satisfying to see. Chest piece wise, this can be maximum fortitude. So I've spent a really long time trying to roll for a good downside. It's just I have no luck with dream talkings, so this is what I settled with. Armor effective rate for non-physical damage. Basically, this makes armor apply for non-physical damage. Great. It's literally like what the description says. Okay, we're getting armor effective rate for non-physical damage. Kind of acts like resistance in a way. The other place where you'll find this is your amulet, right? We have some armor effective rate for non-physical damage here. Okay, chest piece, we have additional armor, gear armor, attack speed, crit strike rating, crit strike damage. You get the idea, right? Every piece is gonna be just damaging mods and armor. Okay, and sealed mana compensation. This is essentially aura effect because of lone walkers, right? So you get one aura effect per two sealed mana compensation. So yep, it helps you reserve your auras and also gives you some aura effect. So the amount of sealed mana comp I have right now is overkill. Okay, as you can see, my life and mana, I have a lot of unreserved mana, even though I am using all the supports. Okay, I'm using 4 major auras. So having this at T1 is completely fine. You do not need T0. I was able to reserve everything with just T1 sealed mana compensation. Okay, Eternity, of course, if you can afford this, is great. Gives you AoE, attack speed, more defense in maps. It's nice. Lone Walkers, we've talked about that. Okay, ring-wise, we do want to have, what do you call that? Immunity to wilt, because we want to be immune to rot, okay? Especially if you want to do deep space maps. We also have a trigger Timid Curse on ring. So at this point of time, we are using the +1 curse pet to inflict 2 curses. So if you do not have the +1 pet, then you probably don't want to have, or you could swap one of the curses later on for, what do you call it, for something else, right? Any other empower skill. So but we do want to have a curse on hit ring. So ring wise, we have crit, double damage. So you really want to have double damage because of Rehan's traits. So we'll talk about that as well later on. So tenacity, blessing, armor, a stat, crit damage, crit strike, double damage. Same thing for the other ring, is almost exactly the same. Okay, so shield, we want, I hit this myself, again, not required. Is it nice to have crowd control immunity? Definitely. So all these are things that are not fundamental to the build, but it makes everything feel nicer in the end. So we have armor pen, we have gear armor, additional defense from shield, I guess you could technically swap Eliras for something else, but you are very tanky, but you're not immortal. Okay, fundamentally you are not immortal. So having some resistances is nice. Okay, at least it's not zero res. And Warcry effect. Okay, for the weapon, this is not required. I think you can probably get gear attack speed and it will be similar. Um, yep, it'll be similar in terms of damage. This mod compared to the gloves is about 10%, right? You get 10% of the amount of flat fist here when you calculate it out. So it's essentially just 10% more fist damage, which is not humongous by any means. Okay, so not required. Do not need this mod at all. Get gear attack speed. Okay, it is not required. Okay, but you do want to have tenacity blessings, like I mentioned. Okay, it's going to be another aspect of scaling for the build. And over here we have attack skill level, strength, percent melee damage, steep strike chance, steep strike damage, attack speed, attack crit strike rating. So as always for most stacking builds with flat damage from somewhere else, if you're life stacking, armor stacking, doesn't matter. Your weapon is kind of like a stat stick. Okay, we do not need any flat damage on this because we already have so much flat from the gloves already. Okay, so no flat damage. We just want to have generic percent scalers on our weapon. Okay, now that gear is done, we are going to talk about the skills. So here we are using the Berserking Blade supports. So this just gives you extra skill area. So doubles the upper limit. So usually Berserking Blade will have 20 stacks, but for us right now we have 40 stacks of Berserking Blade buff, right, for skill radius. Okay, and usually these two come together, so if you do not want to use these supports, then you would, yep, it's either use both of them, or you don't use, or you just swap them off, basically. Okay, Rampage basically gives you bonuses and additional bonuses to skill area, also applies to the skills additional steep strike damage. Basically AoE equals to damage. Okay, here we have generic Warcry scaling. Okay, we are using two Warcry so that we can use Warcry effect to increase our damage, increase our survival as well. So Resurrection Warcry and Harmony is like the classic elemental immunity combo. Okay, so Precise Harmony gives you elemental immunity after casting the supported skill. So when you 5-link your Resurrection Warcry, you will essentially have this up all the time, and you're permanently immune to ailments. Easy peasy. Don't really need to get elemental ailment immunity anywhere else. Warcry, blah blah blah. Okay, don't need to talk about that. Alright, so there are variations of this build. Okay, this is just the one that I'm going for now. So right now I'm doing pure fizz, right? I'm not converting to any other damage type. The most common one is you convert it to fire, okay, and then you can use Scorch here instead of vulnerability. But to be honest, I think it's all kind of the same. It doesn't really differ too much. But yep, conversion is definitely a thing that you can do. And if you do convert your damage, in that case, I mean, you can have elemental pen, for example, instead of armor pen, right? It kind of is the same thing. Doesn't really matter too much, I feel, like whether you convert or not. But there will be differences on the tree, which I guess you will have to look at a different character's skill tree to do the conversion build. Yep. Okay, so now on to the aura stacking part. So we're using 4 auras here. So we're using Fearless, Steadfast, of course, for armor, Weapon Amp, and Domain Expansion. So this one, you could swap this out for, what do you call it, for another Stand as 1. So Stand as 1 is giving about 35% aura effect. Malleable is giving about 35% aura effect. So if you can, right, you can use Precise Stand as 1 over here. But, okay, I want to reserve more mana. Reserve more life. If I could, I want to have 1 life, okay, for a reason later on. But yeah, this gives minus seal mana compensation. So I'm not sure if this affects the stat on lone walkers. Yeah, I'm not sure if your the skill seal mana comp affects lone walkers. So yeah, not very sure on this. I may swap this out for Precise NS1 eventually. And as always, I could have one more slot here for Precise NS1. Alright, just kind of expensive now, and the build is essentially completed. I don't really need any more damage. Okay, so that's skill tree done. We talk about hero trait. So here we have Dex. Oh, actually before this, I will talk about talents. Yep. So over here, for our first one, we have Tenacity for +1 blessings, and we have Hidden Mastery. Okay, just copy these. Okay, now the Brave. So like I mentioned, okay, we are gonna get +4% additional armor per stack of Tenacity Blessing. So again, it's really good. Okay, this is additional armor. Not so easy to get additional armor around these parts of town. So we really do want to stack as many Tenacity Blessings as we can to get more armor. Here we're using an inverse image. Mine is not that great. Okay, we have -100% on this line. Okay, if I did not have this -100%, let's say in an ideal world, okay, we have all 3 positive nodes, you can take this, right? You could take +40% defense gain from chest armor, because that's more armor. Okay, so you can copy this inverse image, not bad. Shadow Dancer, this is giving me brutality, so 33% additional physical damage. So this is slightly better than your typical additional damage major node. It's like a plus point for not going for conversion, I guess. Okay. So here from this tree, we do get immune to trauma, which is nice. Okay, more immunities, whatever. Not like it really matters too much. And we just get some generic physical damage. Damage. Okay, lastly for Ranger tree. Okay, so here we have Unwavering Fortress, which makes us essentially immortal, but not immortal, okay? Essentially immortal. So here we gain defense. The wording is slightly off, okay? Or slightly confusing when you read it. Okay, gains defense equal to 7% of armor and reduces 100% of non-true damage taken every 10 seconds. Defense is refreshed when gained again. Blah blah blah. Your max evasion is 0. Your max life is 100. Okay, this number at the top, right now 141k. That is the amount of shield that I have, right? You can kind of think of it as, right, you have this barrier around you for 141k damage, which refreshes every 10 seconds. As long as something doesn't kill you through this 141k shield, they can't kill you, right? Because it's gonna refresh to max every 10 seconds. So this is the part that makes the build so damn tanky. Okay, so without this, I mean, I would not play this without the prism in the first place, right? So this is the tree. So we have Unwavering Fortress here. This is not great, but it's okay, right? Attack Aggression is probably one of the better ones that you can get, right? Because it gives +50% attack aggression effect. I could get, if I'm not wrong, okay, I need to check again. I can't remember if you could get +1 Tenacity Blessing on this. I would want +1 Tenacity if I can, but I can't remember if you can get that. But I've set on this so far. So that is the talent tree. We talk about statue. Okay, the slate setup. This, honestly, you can go for a lot of things. So things that you probably want that are mandatory. We do want armor per stack of tenacity blessing. That's really nice. We do want +1 tenacity blessing. This is really nice. So like I mentioned, I want to reserve more health, right? It's because we have 0.3% attack speed for every 1% of life lost. So again, wording, right? 1% of life lost is kind of like sealed health, right? So if I seal 99% of my health, I'm kind of getting 30% attack speed for free. So which is why I want to reserve health, because it does not matter to have whether I have 1 health or 15 health, right? Okay, that is just some ideas for you to have. So I have +40% defense from shield, and I'm copying these around. Yeah, as you can see, I just have very generic attack damage percent everywhere. Okay, attack damage if I use Warcry, attack damage when I'm using one-handed weapon. Alright, feel free to change this to whatever you deem fit. Okay, now on to the big slate. So I'm using tradeoff. Tradeoff feels very, very, very nice. Okay, having this attack speed is very nice. So I would prioritize tradeoff if I can. It makes your whirling blades feel like really fast comparatively when I did not have trade-off. So if I remove this, I guess it still looks pretty fast, but you can feel the difference when you have trade-off and without trade-off. Okay, And because of that, we have to balance our strength and dex. In general, you will just see what you roll on your rings and your helmet. Yeah, so I have dex here, I have strength here, I have dex here. On my hero trait, I have dex, right? So how do I mainly balance it up to the, you know, balance it exactly? What you would do is you would use your packs and you would balance using your small microphase, right? This is where you will generally balance out your, or how to balance trade-off. Since we're on the pack page now, all these don't really matter too much. You do want to have guillotine somewhere, so you have 100% steep strike chance. So without this, I would not be capped. Yeah, right. So 102%. So I always hit the steep strike version of Berserking Blade. Right, you want it to be fairly consistent. You don't want to have 90 something percent because then it just feels kind of weird. Okay, apart from that, uh, you can really mix and match anything you want. I'm using Evil Flame because I wanted to know what explosions feel like. You do not need this at all, but it's cheap and fun, so why not, right? You can really do anything you want here. These are just generic damaging Kismets. I was thinking of using the Origin of Thunder Mega's one, but yep, I'm still deciding on that. Okay, and again, I'm using Poison Omen for +1 curse. If you do not have Poison Omen, you cannot run 2 curses. Or you have to replace one of the ultimate mods here for +1 curse, or maybe Corrupted Amulet or something. Okay, you have to get +1 curse from somewhere if you want to run 2 curses without Poison Omen. So I got this from the selector box, and yeah. Packs. Okay, last one, hero traits. So here we just have skill skill area, armor, skill area, damage, armor, crit strike damage. My memories are not that great. You can definitely get way better ones than this. It's just gonna cost more. So obviously if you get double T1 mods, it'll be even better. Okay, and here, so the reason why we need double damage is we gain rage when they deal double damage. So that's why we are having 2 mods, okay? One on each ring for as much double damage chance for rage uptime. Okay, I think that is about it. The video is pretty long. I think I've talked about everything. We have talked about skills, gear, talent tree, packs, and no, nothing here is mandatory. Like I said, you can mix and match anything here. I don't have to go for Warcry effect. You can go for other attack-based stuff, right? There's some pets which I don't have, which other people have, right? I can't remember something about. Okay, doesn't apply, right? Just go for generic attack damage pets. I think that is about it. I don't really have much to talk about anymore. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I hope that, again, all these videos, right, are just how I build a character. Nothing is set in stone, right? I've seen variations where you do combo skills. I've seen variations where you convert damage. This is just what I did. And yep, feel free to try and innovate on your own. Okay, with that, I've come to the end of the video. Thanks for watching Web Puddle, and bye bye.